He proposed after 5.5 months.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's almost a bachelor timeline.
Oh
It's
my
really
God.
quick. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we moved in after 2 weeks. Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
Hi, guys, and welcome back to another episode of Vulnerable. I am your host, Chelsea Vaughn, and today we have our very first three-person episode. I have a couple on, the lovely Sharleen and Andy of the Dear Shandy podcast. Sharleen was on The Bachelor a long time ago on Juan Pablo's season, and she is actually the host of Bachelor in Paradise Canada this season. So she was the host for the show that I was on that's coming out today. So today is finally the premiere. I've been waiting so long for this moment. I'm excited for you guys to see it, all my Canadians. But I'm really excited for you guys to hear this episode. It was so much fun. Sharleen and Andy have such a good banter, and they're so funny and fun to chit chat with. So it was definitely a longer episode because we couldn't stop going off on tangents. But the main topic was kind of about love, and I just wanted to pick their brain about their marriage and their idea of love and their love languages and kind of just how their relationship really works, because we don't have a lot of couples on the pod. It's usually just a bunch of single people in their 20s. We're like the blind leading the blind. So I wanted to give them a chance to give us some advice and help us out. But yeah, it was just a really fun episode. We kind of talked about Paradise a little bit. So no spoilers, but a little bit of excitement for you guys and how Sharleen felt about doing her first hosting gig. I was there. I saw her. She was incredible. And you guys are going to see her tonight on the premiere. But other than that, we're just going to get right into the episode. So here is Sharleen and Andy. Today in the studio, we have Dear Shandy, Sharleen and Andy. Welcome to Vulnerable.
Thank you for having us.
I'm so excited. This is our first three-person podcast.
Yeah, I honestly had seen the videos of your other episodes, and I was like, how are they going to do that?
I was trying to think of a pun with menage a trois and Vaughn. I couldn't do it.
Another pun, just what we need on this podcast. So we like to start out with a segment called What's Going Vaughn, and it's usually pop culture. But today is actually the premiere of Bachelor in Paradise Canada, which Sharleen is the host of.
Woo!
Woo!
Also, where we met.
Yes. Oh my God, I actually didn't tell you this, but when I first walked down, I watched your season of Bachelor.
Oh, wow. You're way too young to have seen my season.
No, I was a Bachelor fan. No, I did.
Like 12?
No, because when did that season come out? It was
2014.
Okay.
When did you graduate high school?
2010. So I was in college. I graduated college.
Okay.
I
don't know
She was an adult.
Yeah, I was. Yes.
That makes me happy somehow.
Yeah.
No, and I don't know why, but when you see people in person, sometimes they don't I wasn't sure if it was you.
It has been many years.
No, oh my God, I don't mean like that. I just mean obviously there was a lot going on.
You look so much wiser.
No, there was a lot going on. I'm walking onto the beach. It's the first day. And I filmed for Bachelor in Paradise Canada's after show last season. And I just expected the host to be the same host. Mm-hmm. And so I walked in and saw you. And then I was like, wait, I know who that is. No, I was like, I know you. But then you were asking me questions about hey, it's the first day. How are you feeling? And I was like, wait, now I feel like it's not a good time for me to be like, are you Sharleen? So I just didn't say anything. Yeah. But
yeah, I honestly, because I know the exact moment you're talking about. You guys get off the boat and I'm standing there and I realized pretty quickly that no one knew that I was the host of the show.
That's what it was. It wasn't that I didn't know who you were. It was just that I didn't know what was going on.
Yeah, that's fair. And I mean, you have experience with the show, so you probably knew what to expect generally. And you're like, who's this new person?
So they thought you were like a greeter.
Yeah.
It's like at Arby's.
Yeah.
Handler. No. Is this your first time hosting anything?
Anything other than the podcast. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
How was that for you? Because how is it being on a Bachelor show on the other side?
Oh, man. I'm not going to lie. It's pretty cool. You kind of get to pull back the curtain on things that you've always wondered about.
Yeah.
Like the control room was very, it was exciting.
Oh my God, I would love to see that.
I know, right? You see so many camera angles and you just sort of see how the sausage is made. But So my little sister is a producer on Survivor, and she worded this really well because she would text me during this process. And she's like, so how are you finding it? And I'm like, I feel like I'm kind of in this in-between space. Because I'm not a producer.
Right.
I can see why hosts eventually become producers or executive producers because they want to be more involved. But I definitely felt like I wasn't a producer, but I wasn't a cast member, or I wasn't a contestant either.
Yeah.
And so you're sort of in this category where there's just you. You're the only one in the category. It was interesting.
Yeah.
It was super fun, though.
You and Kevin, I guess, because he's kind of like an in-between person, too, as the bartender.
I almost feel he's more of a producer than me, actually.
Maybe?
Yeah,
Okay.
because he's just more involved.
Yeah.
Like he's out there with you guys. Like I feel like whenever I would come out, you guys would all be like,
True.
something's happening. Meanwhile,
Yeah.
Kevin's like pouring you guys drinks and stuff.
That's true.
Yeah.
I wish we got to like talk to you more because you
I
kind of just
agree.
popped in and popped out. I was
Yeah.
like, wait.
Yeah. Yeah, it was fun though. It was honestly the best job I've ever had. It was really
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
And the outfits, you guys.
Oh.
Wait till you see Charlene's outfit. Every time you would walk into a room, we'd all be like, that's why we weren't saying anything. We were just in shock. I'm like, oh my God, you look
sweet.
incredible.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, if I get to host a show, and it's a bachelor show, you know, like people are looking at the total package.
Yes.
I mean, your outfit's also on point.
Thank you.
So yeah, I was like, I'm not going to disappoint, or I'll try not to.
Oh,
anyway.
you did not.
understand.
Yeah. And Andy, you were there. You were
I
there
was
with
there.
us.
I was there. I was doing a lot of eating. I was just coming. There was like 6 feedings a day.
Feedings.
I mean, there was about 6, right?
Yeah.
There was like
Okay.
the breakfast, the morning snack, then the lunch, then the post-lunch, then the snack, then the dinner, then the post-dinner snack.
Okay, they treated you guys a little bit better than contestants because I got 3 feedings a day. We didn't get post snacks. But how was it for you to just like watch Sharleen host for the first time and like see her in her element?
I mean, I've seen Sharleen sing in operas in
Okay,
front of like
true.
2,000 people. So I've seen her perform under high pressure situations, but I was so impressed. It was just like I was nervous for her. It just felt like it like she had to do, you know, it's one thing if you have to just say lines, but then when you're like, oh, someone did something a little wrong, let's do that again. You have to sort of make it look natural again and again.
Yeah.
That to me was super nerve-wracking, and I think you did that really well. So I was
Yeah,
just impressed.
I think being a singer helps.
Yeah.
It's like you it's both rehearsed but also has to feel spontaneous, I
Yeah.
guess. Yeah, it was interesting. It was a lot more of like lines and delivering of lines, but they can't sound like a delivering of lines.
Yeah.
So a lot more of that than I think I knew going in. But now when I watch Jesse Palmer on the American show, I'm like, that's a good line delivery.
Have you done any acting before? Like where you had to do lines?
I mean, I think people who aren't in the opera world tend to be surprised by how much acting there is in opera. I just know that from when like I had friends in high school come to performances. They were like, wow, you're like acting.
Yeah.
You're not just standing there singing. And so I think that helped a lot. I mean, I took acting classes for my singing career. Like in school, for my degrees, there would be drama classes.
Oh, okay.
So there's a little background there.
She's actually a great actress on stage. Like she always downplays it, but I think if you wanted to have a career in TV, you could totally do it.
I think that ship has sailed.
Oh no! But if she
No.
wants to punk me, like if she's just saying stuff that isn't true and she's
Just lying.
playing a joke on me, no one can do it better than her. And I know her better than anyone, so it's harder for her. No one can lie to me the way she does.
An amazing actress in the making. So funny. Is there anything you're like nervous about, like for it to air? Because I feel like obviously it's very different than being a contestant. But you haven't been on TV in a minute on a Bachelor show.
Yeah. I'm a little nervous, but honestly, I feel a sense of peace that no one's trying to make me look bad in the way, we know how it feels when you go on The Bachelor. You're like, well, I'm hoping for the best. And my edit on my season, I'm going like this, half air quote edit. Like there were a lot of surprises to me, and also some things where I was like, oh, that's okay, that's interesting, and things I thought they would show and they didn't. So I think I have a lot more peace of mind knowing more or less what they're going to show.
Yes.
Which is nice. I also don't think they're out, like I said, out to get me.
I don't think so either.
Yeah. Meanwhile,
No.
I think you're fine because you're Chelsea Vaughn. But in general, like it's kind of scary.
I think the first show that I went on, like Bachelor, that's what I was most worried about when I watched it back because I was just like, I have no idea what they're going to air. This time, now that it's the third time, I'm not as worried. I feel like there's nothing that I really did this time around that I'm like worried about how it's going to play out.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
I'm
mean,
just
I can't think
excited.
of anything you did.
Yeah, I didn't see anything. I was spying on you the whole time.
Well, stay tuned, guys. It premieres tonight. It's on City TV if you're in Canada, if you're in the US. Today, I wanted to let you guys know about PureVPN. It's a virtual private network service that can help you enjoy online entertainment seamlessly and securely. If you're a streaming enthusiast, PureVPN can help you access region-restricted content from anywhere in the world. You can connect to servers in different countries to access streaming platforms like Netflix, Hulu, or Amazon Prime Video, BBC, iPlayer, Peacock, and the likes, wherever you endlessly enjoy your favorite TV shows and movies. But PureVPN isn't just for gaming and streaming. It can also help you stay safe and secure online. By encrypting your internet connection, PureVPN can protect your data from malicious hackers, malware, and other looming cyber threats. And if you're concerned about your privacy online, PureVPN can help you keep your online activity private from the prying eyes. With its strict no logging policy, PureVPN doesn't keep any record of your online activity or personal information. So whether you're an avid gamer, a streamer enthusiast, or you're just looking to watch me fall in love potentially on Bachelor in Paradise Canada safely and securely, PureVPN is your best bet. So give PureVPN a try. You won't be disappointed. So tune in tonight to see if I find love. Speaking of love, you guys are, thank you. You guys are my first couple on the pod. Ooh. And how long have you been, so you're married, but how long have you been together and married?
We've been together for, I know, but we're in the season of when we met. So we met March 29th, I know.
Oh, okay.
2014.
Do you know that?
Yes.
Now she does.
I always get confused with the 30th, but yes.
So, yeah.
Somewhere around there.
Close enough. It's been 9 years, 9+ years.
Since we met, yeah.
Oh my
and
gosh.
8 years since we did City Hall.
Yep.
He proposed after 5.5 months.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, it's almost a bachelor timeline.
Oh
It's
my
really
God.
quick. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we moved in after 2 weeks. Yeah, it's pretty nuts.
There's a bit of a
There's
side
a story.
Yeah.
If you'd like, you can tune into our podcast, episode number 1.
Yeah, I was in the city. I used to live in New York, but I went to school here. But at that point, I was living in Germany, and I was in the city for work. I was here for an opera, and so I had a flight back home. So when my Airbnb where I was staying for the first part of this contract, I was going to then move into a girlfriend's place in Brooklyn, and we had just met at that point. We'd been together for 2 weeks, we had only known each other for 2 weeks. And he was like, well, you're only here for another month, move in with me. The intention wasn't move in permanently, but then I just never left.
The intention wasn't stay and marry me and stay together forever, but here we are.
Yeah.
I mean, I kind of was thinking you'd stay there forever.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet.
I thought there was a good shot. A good shot.
Oh, I don't know if
65% chance.
Wow.
Yeah.
Andy's a little more of a romantic than me.
Wait, that's adorable.
When it's the right time. I mean, I knew she was the right one. But interestingly, I proposed after 5.5 months, but I meant to propose way sooner, except I totally fumbled it, thank God, because the proposal ended up being really great and magical. But sorry. I'm just,
did I not give you enough
There wasn't
fanfare?
enough applause after that.
The
Yeah,
proposal wasn't
Thank you very
it.
much. Thank you very much. But I went to go see her sing in Germany. This was 3 months in?
Yeah.
Or even 2.5 months in?
Yeah, it was early.
And I brought a ring with me to Germany. And I fumbled it 3 times. There was one time, it would have been the worst proposal. We were literally in bed, just lying there. And I was digging in my jeans to try to find the ring. And it was in a little baggie, a little drug baggie thing. And I was drinking, and I was trying to open it with one hand. And I kept trying to not let her know what I was doing. And I finally just gave up. And that was it.
I'm so happy he gave up. I would not have been. He did way better in the end.
Yeah. There was a force. The force of nature was trying to help me.
Plus, I think my parents would have been slightly freaked out.
Yeah, I actually was
early.
debating.
Yeah.
I was weighing. I want her to know that I'm in this. With her parents are going to think I'm a psycho.
Right.
So
It's a fine line.
yeah.
Okay, you said you're not that much of a romantic. He still proposed after 5.5 months and you said yes. I feel like that's pretty romantic.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I was really all in with him. But, I feel like as a woman who has lived in New York City, dated in New York City, you see a lot.
Yeah.
You see a lot of characters. You see a lot of people who almost seem to have double lives. I dated this one guy who I went to his apartment many times, and in retrospect, I'm like, did he even live there? Oh my God. You know what I mean? Like, you just see a lot of like sketchy characters. And so for me, it was like balancing letting myself completely fall and like lose myself in this and wanting to be, you know, a character from a rom-com versus, you know, just not wanting to be played a fool.
Yeah.
So.
And how old were you at this time?
I was 29.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was 29 and a half.
Okay. I also really want to know what you guys' signs are. I'm into astrology.
I know that you're into astrology, and I'm afraid you're going to be very disappointed with the amount that we know.
No, I
How
just
about,
wanna
how about
know.
this? How about you guess our signs?
Oh, I'm not that good.
That's hard.
Come on, go. Just guess my sign.
A Capricorn. Leo.
Are you really?
Gemini. I don't know.
Do you even know your own sign?
I do know my sign.
Okay, just tell
Okay,
us.
what is it?
Scorpio.
Scorpio. Okay. And
That's
Sharleen.
okay. That you know, that's a bad sign. I'm a bad guy.
I don't like to place bad or good on anybody's sign.
Thank you.
Whenever most of the time when people learn he's a Scorpio, they're like, oh.
Yeah, it's never just like,
Yeah.
oh, that's so nice. It's just
Well,
like,
I'm actually technically compatible with Scorpio
really?
men, even though they
okay.
get a bad rep. So I'm not going to trash them.
What's your sign?
I'm a Virgo.
Oh,
Yeah.
when's your birthday?
August 27th. Are you a Virgo?
September 2nd.
I was going to guess Virgo. I love Virgos.
Picked the wrong
And you
one.
guys are compatible. Good job.
Are we? Is that true?
I mean,
Virgo
she
and
just said it.
Scorpio. She's an earth sign and you're a water sign. Earth and water go together.
Why is a scorpion a water sign?
Scorpio? It's Scorpio.
No, but I mean, it's a scorpion, right?
Is the symbol?
Yeah.
It's the star formation is a scorpion.
Oh, I don't know if that has anything to do with the
Oh, it has nothing
element
to do.
parts.
I know a lot about this, so
Yeah, but
To give you a little perspective on how little we know, there was one point, I think we did it on the podcast, where I was like, do you remember my sign? And he was like, yeah. And I'm like, what is it? And he was like, give me the first letter. And I said V. And he was like, give me the second letter. I had to get to VIR before he guessed Virgo.
yeah, that was a problem.
that's so funny. Okay, I want to know how you feel about this statement because I feel like it's kind of cheesy, but maybe I just haven't, it hasn't happened to me yet. Do you believe in when you know, you know? Like now that you have found your person, is that a true statement? You just don't get it until you found it.
I believe in it after like a 1 week vet.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think that's
I
quick
100%
enough.
believe in it.
I feel like when you know is sort of, it's so easy to say, like with hindsight being 2020, because I felt I knew with 2 other guys that I dated.
You never told me this.
So there's an element of like, yeah, I'd like to think that when I met Andy, I knew more than these other times.
Right.
And I think I did, but I'm just trying to be realistic. Like I don't know how much. No. I'm just trying to be realistic
How
about
dare you.
about the fact that, I had life experience. I had dated these 2 other guys. Like so much
It's
colors
true.
your.
She was a little slower. Like I actually, to be perfectly honest, when she opened her mouth, I kind of knew. Because I
Yeah.
didn't expect the sound that came out to happen.
He had a lot more dating under his belt than me, and I had dated a lot. So we're not those people
Yeah, I
that
had an extra half
met
year
in
of
high
dating.
school. And
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. We're not that. We're the poster children more so for sowing many a wild oat.
Yes.
Yeah.
Many oats.
Yes.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. And I also feel like that's a very Virgo response because we're just very like analytical and like practical.
It's like I just want to cover all my bases. Yeah.
But like, I think I could convince myself anytime after I met someone that like, oh, I knew on that first date because I felt this
Right,
one
right, right.
thing
Yeah.
afterwards now that we're married. You know what I mean?
yeah. We're the same.
But also the question is different for people of different ages, as we kind of touched on. So like, I think if you ask like an 18-year-old, they're like, yeah, I know, of course. Like, no, you don't know. But if you ask
That's
a
true.
60-year-old who has never been married and they meet someone, they're 99% of the time going to know when they know.
That's true.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm kind of like the age that you guys were when you met. So maybe I met my husband on Bachelor in Paradise, guys.
Tune in tonight.
Okay, but how do you feel about like sparks when you first meet someone versus like lust versus like love at first sight? Because some people say that now, I don't know if you guys are on TikTok, but on
We're
TikTok
too
now.
old. we our podcast is on TikTok.
We have someone who has us on TikTok.
Got you, but you guys aren't scrolling yourselves.
yeah.
On TikTok, everyone's saying that like butterflies and sparks kind of are more of like a bad sign when you first meet someone because that's your body being like, giving you like anxiety and like telling you that that's like danger, or that it's like a familiar thing that you've already dated that was toxic in your past?
Oh, that's a lot to unpack.
Yeah, that's also such a negative spin
It
on
is
something
negative.
that I think can be really lovely. See, that's not a good sales
also
pitch
have to
for TikTok to me. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
that's true. That's
That's
true.
just my
That's
For You
true.
page of like all these girls trying to figure out how to date.
I think butterflies.
It depends how
I
you
think it's
define
when
butterflies, I guess,
also,
too.
Yeah.
Also, when it's combined with confusion, like you feel butterflies because you're like hoping that it goes.
Is he gonna text?
Yeah, exactly. When it's combined with the unknown and kind of getting this dopamine hit because he did text you and he typically doesn't text you the same day that you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like when it's
Yeah.
combined with confusion, then it's negative.
Now that I've had like 45 seconds to think about this and I have a fully fleshed out opinion,
Yes.
I'm going to play devil's advocate and say I kind of agree a little bit. Because I do think when you meet the right person, like the real lifetime right person, it feels like you've always known that person. So it's kind of relaxing.
Right.
Like in our first conversation, the first time I met you, like on that couch, I didn't feel nervous. I didn't feel like scared that you weren't going to like me or like that I had to impress you. It just felt like we had continued a conversation that had been going on for like 10 years.
Yeah, but I still had butterflies. Like I'm not going to pretend that it was just like
Oh, well, it's
I had
it's
such
me.
confidence.
I'm so intimidating.
so striking. Yes.
I understand what you're saying, because I feel like when I was dating in my early 20s, when I was younger, it would be like you're looking and searching for that like butterfly feeling, like those like immediate sparks when you go on a first date with someone. But now it's more like I look to feel like I'm incredibly comfortable in your presence.
Yeah.
Like that is a good sign
Yes.
to me now,
Oh.
instead of
That that really shows maturity too.
Oh,
yeah,
thanks.
but I have a quick question then. So
Yeah.
did you typically then in the past feel that you were just like you would look for the butterflies?
I don't know that I knew that I was looking for them.
Okay.
I think that I would get there and I would feel like that thing, and then I'd be like all excited, and then those relationships over time were the ones that like crashed and burned in three months. Like I feel like they just like burned bright and fast, and then like we're gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, I think maybe instead of butterflies, the word maybe should be passion. Like if there's too much passion, I think, in an early relationship, I think that can burn it out.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily think extreme passion is healthy for a long-term situation.
Yeah.
I think it should be more like really good friends with also sexual attraction.
it's hard for me to engage in this like the way that I feel like I want to, because for me, I was always so interested in so few people. Like I don't know. Like I never really was into anyone. So when I was, it was because they had already been vetted based on what I felt was compatibility. I felt like I was seen by them, understood by them. So like so many things were already out of the way. Like I'm a real sapiosexual. I need to feel like we're on the same wavelength, and when I throw the ball, you catch it every time, kind of thing. And so I could never just have butterflies for someone that I didn't feel that with.
I totally get that. I feel like I'm kind of like you in that way, where it doesn't happen a lot. So then when it did happen, that's why I felt like, oh, this is something.
Yeah.
Because it only happened like rarely.
Yeah.
But I think my picker was a little off. I'm trying to refine that now.
You're the only one.
Yeah. Do you feel like, so now it's been 9 years
Yeah.
since you guys have been together.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're coming up on a decade. Wow. Do you feel like now your definition of love has kind of changed a little bit over time at all? Or how did you define love before? How do you define love now?
That's a tough question.
It is
These
tough.
are
I've
all-
heard you ask Andrew S. to define romance, and I was like, oh, I hope she doesn't ask
Yeah.
that.
No, I look at the definition of romance for that one.
I think that I'll go first because I'll give my half-baked answer, so you can think a little more.
Okay.
So maybe
I'm asking you
trying
guys
to be
the deep
chivalrous
questions.
here. I'm taking the bullet. But I think when I was younger, I imagined love being more like in the formula of love, more passion to friendship. And I don't want to like make it seem like Sharleen and I have a cold, like passionless marriage. It's totally not true at all. But I do feel like if I was making the recipe today, I would realize that the real recipe is way more friendship than passion. And I think I'm not sure that that's like a real revelation, but I had an inkling that might be the key. In my previous relationships, there was a lot more passion than friendship. But I do think that if one thing has changed, I've realized how incredibly important it is not to just be friends, but to be like really good friends.
Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense, though, because if you're trying to be with someone for the long run, like 30, 40 years, like you have to be with someone that you genuinely love as a friend.
Well, they're going to annoy the hell out of you. If there's one crack in that friendship, you're just going to be like, I'm done.
Well, Andy's long said on our podcast that the main thing, like one of the top things to look for is someone who doesn't annoy you at all. Because whatever annoys you even slightly in the beginning is only going to get way worse. And that's definitely true. And to answer the other part of your question, has it changed? Like, has love changed? I think that it hasn't. Like, I still love about you the things that I loved then. Like, you just make every day so fun. Like, we act like kids together.
Yeah.
But it's definitely become more acts of service-y. You know what I mean? Like, it's less about the words of affirmation. I know how he feels about me. He doesn't need to, gush about how beautiful I look every day. It's more like when I come downstairs and I'm busy editing or something and he's done all the dishes, I'm like, that's love.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know if I would have told you that 9 years ago.
Yeah. Okay, that leads me into my next question because I wanted to know what you guys' love languages are. Obviously, all of them are important.
Let's play a fun game where we say what each other's are.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
What do you think, Sharleen?
Can you just list the love languages for me again? Because I always panic when I get this question.
I will. There's 5 of them. It's acts of service,
Okay.
quality time, physical touch. There's more.
Gifts.
Gifts. Oh, yeah, gifts.
Okay.
And
Did you say words of affirmation already?
I did not. Words of affirmation.
Okay, that's the 5th one.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
Am I guessing?
You're guessing. Mine,
You're guessing Andy's.
I think Andy is. There's a little flies around your face, and you're trying so hard to stay focused. You're like,
There's a...
okay, it's tough. You're definitely not gifts.
No. I actually don't like gifts.
You don't?
They just clutter the house. I don't need anything.
I can't relate.
He likes more experience.
But I'll tell you why after you answer it. It's not about the gift.
I understand.
Oh, it's about feeling seen by the gift.
Yes.
Yes,
Oh,
100. Oh,
I see.
she's such a
It's
Virgo.
a test. It's a test.
It's not a test.
No, I'm
it's
the
a
exact
test.
same way. If I get a gift and it just feels like, I'm like, how could you possibly think?
You don't know me at all.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, but
really,
every gift I get you is wrong.
Andy's not, like, you're not bad. It's sweet. You just sort of miss the mark slightly.
All right, what's my love language? Enough about how shitty I am. What's my shitty love language?
You're definitely words of affirmation
Yeah.
in terms of how you receive and give.
Yeah.
And I think quality time. No?
Yeah. I was thinking words of affirmation, then like 1A is like physical touch a little bit, mixed with the quality time.
Oh, I forgot about physical touch.
Oh, is
I
that
feel
number
like
one?
there's like a main one and then like a sub one. I
Yeah.
feel like you could have.
I'm cheating here, but it's just,
Okay.
I don't like the question. I don't, not your question. I don't, this is.
He has a
we
thing
always,
about the love
No.
languages.
I've gotten this question a million times,
Okay.
so it's not your question. You don't own this one. But I think words of affirmation, number 1. I'm pathetic that way. And then physical and quality time are kind of tied for number 2. It depends on what mood I'm in.
Yeah.
If the physical touch has happened recently, probably then quality time. In like the 3 hours spent.
Okay. What do you think that Charlene's are?
Wait, sorry. Okay, let's go through this again. Gifts, words of affirmation, physical touch, quality time, and what's the other one?
Acts of service.
And you can choose up to 3 as we learned.
I think acts of service.
Okay.
I think acts of service 1, and then it depends. Am I touching your head or other parts of your body?
I do love a head rub.
No one on earth loves a head rub more than. Go ahead, give her a rub. See what happens. She won't make you. She'll let you keep doing it.
Just do it the whole
I
podcast.
just become like,
Yeah, it's her off switch. Like if she's like angry at me or something, I'm just like, she's like,
That's nice that you know that though.
yeah.
I think you're pretty dead on.
Okay.
Acts of service first, and then tied for second is physical touch and quality time.
Yeah.
Oh, I do love me a word of affirmation, though.
Yeah, but you don't. Actually, you don't. I give you words of affirmation, and you kind of
have a hard
shake me a
time
little
taking
bit.
a compliment.
Yeah, I'm like, you look so beautiful. You're like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm usually like, oh, but this thing is wrong.
It's
You
like,
know what I mean?
the best part is it's like, you never tell me I look beautiful. And then when I do, she gives me shit.
That's so funny.
How about you? I want to know what you are.
Okay, I feel like quality time shouldn't really be in the same category because I feel like you can't really have a lot of the others without quality time. Like, I feel like it's its own thing, personally. So quality time is my number one. But I feel like saying that gifts is one of your like main love languages always gets like frowned upon because people are like, oh my God, you shallow bitch.
Well, yeah, people can judge it.
But it's not about the gift. It's about like you being thoughtful and taking the time to get something that it could have cost $2, you know?
Right.
Like I always say that like I love hot Cheetos. This is very random, but I always say like if you went to the store, picked up a bag of hot Cheetos for me, like that would mean so much to me. You know, it's not. I don't need you to buy me a Gucci bag.
Well, I know what I'm getting you for Christmas. I don't know what hot Cheetos are, but I'm going to get you those. I know what Cheetos are.
Yeah, hot.
And I know
They're
what
flaming
is.
hot.
Oh, they're hot, meaning like they're spicy.
Yeah.
Oh.
I only have seen the commercial.
Isn't Cheetos enough for you?
No, I love spicy. I put
God,
spicy on it.
it's so good. A Cheeto is so perfect.
Is that you're not Canadian, are you?
No.
How do you not know what hot Cheetos are?
He's born and bred Manhattaner. Right
I know
there.
what Cheetos are. I love Cheetos. But why do you have to make them hot?
But in Flamin', aren't those the crispy, thinner ones? Or are they like the
those are
puffy
hot
ones?
fries.
No, there's like two types of Cheetos. The ones that are like thinner and more wrinkly and crunchy.
You're thinking of Fritos.
No, there's like crunchy Cheetos. Am I crazy? They're not Fritos.
No, they have the same crunch as regular Cheetos.
Are there
not-
crunchy
I'm thinking
Cheetos?
I think I'm thinking of Puffs.
You are.
I
They're
think
not
my
puffs.
Canadian is showing right now.
Okay, but
So-
they do have Flamin' Hot Puffs now, but that's
Are
not
the-
what I was talking
Are
about.
the-
Love that
okay.
you know that. Of course you know that.
She's very familiar with crunchy snacks. So, are they shaped like Cheetos? They same puff thing. They're just hot.
Yes.
And what is the hot? Is it like a what kind of hot is it?
It is a red dust that I probably don't want to know what's in.
Okay. Yeah.
It's red
a
dust
shade.
hot. All right.
It's its own thing. Like
Okay.
a lot of different Lay's chips now have Flamin' Hot dust on them. But it started with the Cheetos. I literally after this we're going to get Flamin' Hot Cheetos from a bodega.
Okay.
I don't know how you
you're
guys
right.
don't know
I
about
want
this.
to taste one of these.
That
It's
was a
scaring
good
me.
tangent. We love a good tangent.
Yeah.
But to get back to the gifts thing, I totally agree. It's like the idea that you've been thought about outside
Yes.
of our time together.
Yes. I love that. Yeah, but I think it's also hard to, like when somebody has a different love language than you have to like think about what your partner's love language is and do that for them. Like let's say I'm dating someone that's love language is words of affirmation. Like that, I don't really care about words of affirmation at all. Like it doesn't come naturally to me because that's not what I need. But then you have to kind of like do what they need,
Yeah.
which I feel like is harder. And then like if I'm dating someone who's like, I don't think about gifts, I don't like gifts, they make me uncomfortable, like they don't think about that for me.
Yeah.
So it's difficult, but it's nice you guys.
It's actually kind of a common issue, I
Yeah.
feel like, in relationships, because like our thing is we answer relationship questions, and that actually comes up a lot, is the
Yeah.
idea where, I see love this way, he sees love this way, like how do we reconcile that? But it is a nice opportunity to sort of like get out of your own needs,
yeah.
It shows some selflessness to
Well, that's
accommodate someone else's love language.
It's so special. Like
Yes.
just do the dishes while she's editing and she'll be happy.
Oh, yeah. I'm on it.
Do you think that love alone is enough to make a relationship last?
It's a good question.
That is a great question.
I can answer it while you guys think of my own opinion.
Yes.
I
We'd love to
don't.
hear. Oh,
I do not think it's
Yeah.
enough alone. I think you need to be compatible. I think you need to have similar values. And I think you have to be able to communicate well. Like I just think there's so many other things. Like I have broken up with people that I was fully head over heels in love with because like it just couldn't work as much as I wanted it to work.
Yeah. I mean, I agree
That's
with
brave.
you.
Yeah.
It's a very pragmatic way of looking at relationships, but I totally agree. It's a little idealistic to be like, we have love and that'll pay the bills and solve the fact that we have different religious beliefs and,
Right.
we value money differently. Like there's so many things. Like you said, compatibility, you could argue, is as important as love.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
It is good. I kind of think it's a little chicken and egg because I do feel like love is the product often of a lot of variables that include the things you were just chatting
it's
about.
true.
Yeah.
So for me, it's a little more gray. But I if it was just love, it was just like, oh my God, you're so pretty and I like having sex with you. That's not going to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
That might be lust. I don't know.
Then maybe that's just lust. Or just really, and I like talking to you and having sex with you. Okay, I missed that part. There was that.
So what do you think is the most important component in a relationship? If it's not, like, if we're taking love out of the equation, what do you think is the most important thing to have?
Liking the same food.
Honestly, that's a really big one for me.
I'm not even
Huge
joking.
in our relationship.
I'm a huge foodie, and I always think about like guys that are shredded and like go to the gym all the time. And
I do too. I think.
No, you know the guys that like work really hard to look like that. So they are the guys that like meal prep everything and bring a scale to restaurants so they can measure out their chicken breasts. Like I could never, ever, 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 ever.
Do guys do that?
Yes.
They bring the scale to the restaurant
Yes.
to measure the chicken breast?
Yeah, they measure everything.
How do you date a guy like that?
I feel like she's
How do you
more
do that?
supposed because you're
Does
a
that turn
model
you
though.
on?
You're a model. You're like more in the world of people who like really need to think about this stuff more than the average Joe.
I'm just saying, I don't think I could ever date that guy.
No.
I don't blame you.
Who
That's
dates
a
them?
problem.
I feel like to date that guy, you have to be you have to bring like a his and her scale. Like you're weighing your stuff too.
It's like a lifestyle thing because then we'd have to meal prep together and then
Yeah.
like we're never going out to try new restaurants. Like that's one of my favorite activities.
Yeah,
Oh,
I agree.
absolutely. I would
Yeah.
say a huge part of our relationship is built on eating at new restaurants together or restaurants that we love together.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things we love most about our compatibility is the fact that we always crave the exact same food at the same time.
That's
It's
beautiful.
a gift, let me tell you.
It's amazing.
It's great.
She can go to the bathroom and I could order for her and she'd come back and totally be fine.
Yeah, but
Same
and
vice
that's not
versa.
to suggest that I'm easy to please. It's just that we have the exact same taste in food and the same cravings for said food. It's
and
not like
and the only thing we differ on is I despise goat cheese. And it's not because I don't like the taste of it. It literally makes me gag. I don't know what's going on with
he
that.
feels like it's
She
like a-
loves goat cheese. She hates mushrooms, and I love mushrooms. That's
Yeah,
it. Other than that, everything.
Well,
is
and I
perfect.
also prefer, like, I love burrata. Like,
Oh, okay. Breaking news. Woman loves burrata. Okay. I mean, I like burrata too. It's not the thing I order every day, though.
if it's on the menu, I want to order it.
Do you
Okay.
guys know about the olive rule?
No.
It says that one person in the relationship loves olives and the other person hates olives and they're compatible. But if you both love olives or if you both hate them, then you're doomed.
Was this on TikTok?
Yes, it was.
Stop watching TikTok.
We both like olives.
Do you both like olives?
We both do. No, I think
Yeah.
maybe TikTok's always right.
No, I mean, based
Maybe
on
you
this
guys are
example,
doomed.
they're not always.
Oh, right. That's true.
She said that you have to go
I
differently
didn't,
about
I'm
one
sorry,
of
I
you.
missed that part. I thought, yeah, sorry, I'm not a good listener. But
No, we
no,
definitely
we like olives.
Oh, we
I
did-
like olives more than you, but we both, like when I have a Bloody Mary and the olives are in the toothpick, like you usually I'll think about eating all three of them before giving you one, but sometimes you give me a hard
I'm just
time.
picky with my olives. I want a good olive. I don't want an olive that just like the color looks a little unnatural or it looks a little too like firm and like plasticky. I'm like, I don't want that olive.
I think we're just too much olive talk.
My bad.
it's
We
enough.
veered off.
But
The most important thing in a relationship.
That's I was moving back. I was
Looping
just
back?
turning around the detour. No, but I do think I'm not really joking about the food, but in the grander scheme, I do think that similarities are really important. Like people say opposites attract. And I think that's probably true to some degree for like a one-night stand or even like a 2-month stand. But I do think for the long run, it's really great to just like the same things, be on the same page, have the same opinions. Like it makes things a lot easier. And I
Yeah.
know from experience, I've had a lot of ones where there was like not same and
Not
problem.
Not same.
Make bad.
For me, I feel like it's compatibility, but veering more in the direction of ease. Like, I never want to feel like I'm walking on eggshells with the person I'm with. It's like, you're joking around until you said this one thing or expressed it slightly wrong. You worded it wrong, or maybe that was this, suddenly you hit a nerve that you didn't know you hit. And not having to worry about that is honestly,
Amazing.
yeah.
It's one of the greatest things about Sharleen. Like I say, there's nothing, my mouth is like there's no filter at all in any point in time. I start singing whenever I want. I can say anything. It actually is a problem. It's now in public, I'll say things and you're like, you can't say that in public. And I'm like, I go, but I could say that at home with my wife. Like, no, you can't do that.
Yeah, it's we just say and do whatever we want. And we sing all the time.
Okay,
There's
I
a lot
love
of
that.
singing. Yeah.
That's how it should
Bad
be, though.
singing
You don't
from my
want to.
point of view.
Oh, no, he's cute. Good.
That's definitely how it
good.
should be. You don't want to be like afraid to say things around your spouse at home.
Yeah, and it could be just like one small category, but I still think that, you still need to watch it. Like, it's one thing to respect, what if someone has a trauma or boundaries or whatever, but it's like you generally want to feel like I can speak my mind and there's not this whole area where it's like this door that's locked. It's like we can't go there.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not to say we're very nice to each other. I don't want to make it sound like I'm just like yelling at her and she's like, oh, this is nice. No, we're very nice. It's just like we say crazy things all the time and it's totally fun.
Yeah. So I don't have a lot of married people on this podcast. And I wanted to ask you guys, what was the hardest part of the first few years of marriage, if there was one? Or like, what do you think the hardest part of marriage is?
I mean, I have an answer. It's kind of humble braggy because I think we did pretty good for first few years.
Yeah. What are you
Why are you
going to
looking
say?
at me like that
No, I
for?
want to hear what you're going to say.
I think the hardest part was losing your connection somewhat to friends when you get really wrapped up with your spouse. So like I felt like I was spending a lot less time with my friends, and I think they felt that as well. And it was hard to transition from.
He's very social, very extroverted.
Yeah, I was very social. So I'm gonna answer this differently. Basically, I see milestones in life as being periods of mourning as well as celebration, like everything. Like I think, just like when you get married, when you have a kid, when you die. I mean, there's always
Even when you
celebration
move.
and mourning. When you move,
Yeah.
when your parents die or when loved ones die, there's always like a combination of celebration and mourning. And I do believe that as much as our marriage, I think was the best thing that ever happened in my life. And I'm not just saying that because you're sitting next to me. I tell that to my friends too, and they vomit in front of me. But it was really a wonderful thing. But there was also the mourning aspect of it. And the mourning was I was letting go of my single life. And that's not single like dating, although that was also a very
he had a
steep
very
cost.
active dating life.
There was a cost there. But no, but there was a mourning of like, oh, now I'm with this person. This is my person I'm spending my time with. And that time of my life when I was sort of every day, I'm like, what friends am I going to hang out with tonight? And where are we going, this weekend? That there was a loss there. And I've never gotten it back. It's not like we, got over the first, honeymoon years of marriage. And now I'm like constantly hanging out with my friends, and my friends also have moved on as well with their relationships and kids and stuff. So I do feel like for me, the hardest transition was not having anything to do with Sharleen. It was having to do with my life outside of Sharleen and how that had changed.
I feel like that's such an interesting answer. And I also feel like it's more of a guy answer.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Because I obviously am not married yet, but I feel like when I do get married, I don't plan on like losing any of my friendships or like not continuing to nurture them. And I'm not saying you did that, but I just feel like you have to be really intentional. Like my friends are like family to me. Like they are literally like everything to me. And I will refuse to like let them go kind of thing. And Andrew said something similar about like his friend getting married. And he was like, now I feel like I've kind of like lost him or like gave him away. And I'm like, I don't feel like I will do that.
I know what Andy means. Like, because Andy's super social. Like they call it the summit. Like he gets together with his 3 best guy friends every Tuesday night. It's like a ritual every week. So it's like, I wouldn't say it was so much like you stopped seeing your friends. It was more like, I think the dynamic of it changed. Like, it's more like, oh, they'll try a great restaurant instead. But, in the old days, they probably would have like gone on the prowl. You know what I mean? Like it was, I think that the dynamic of like trying to find girls, and I mean, Andy's generation is a lot more like less swipey. You know what I mean? Like he's
less swipey.
Like, I didn't even
have I had a corded telephone.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I wasn't supposed to revealing too much here.
Yeah, but Andy were like he and his friends, it's like we met in person. Like Andy struck up a conversation with me. I feel like you just don't really see that anymore. So I know what you mean with that answer. I do feel it is kind of a guy answer a little bit in that, but this is specific to my personality, not my gender, I'm just way more introverted than he is.
Yeah.
And so I kind of like any reason. So I almost liked getting married and being like, well, I can just be home, and that's not uncool. I'm married, I can hide behind, you know what I mean? I can just stay at home and play video games, and I'm not a loser.
Totally.
I'm just married.
There was one point, in the first couple weeks of the pandemic, where I could see, first Charlene was like, "Oh my God, this is horrible. What are we going to do?" And then suddenly she was like, "Oh."
Yeah.
It's I see what I can do here.
Yeah.
There's a permanent excuse for not going out.
So because I knew that when you answered that question, I would have my own answer. It actually has nothing to do with your answer. But I think in the beginning, after the initial, oh, we're so compatible, I can't believe we found each other. We had a lot of how did we find each other moments. And after that kind of wears off and you're this is great. We get along. Every day is fine and fun and whatever. You start to realize that there are more under the surface differences. For example, I'm way more introvert, he's way more extroverted. And another one is I've learned that because of my singing career, I'm kind of addicted to travel. So I like to either be living out of a suitcase or anticipating living out of a suitcase. And he's a real New Yorker. I joke that Andy gets me out of the house, but I get him out of the city.
Yeah.
And so I think the first year or two was sort of okay, but what are we doing next? Where are we going next? And he was like, well, there's this party on Friday night. And I'm like, I don't want to go to a party. I want to go to Rome.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So just sort of little, I don't want to even say it's an incompatibility, but you're learning each other.
Yeah.
And we've gotten better at it. I think I've gotten better about leaving the house, and he's gotten better about packing a suitcase.
Perfect. So then what would you say to people who just got married and are maybe going through a hard, struggly time? What's your advice for that, since you guys didn't seem to have any hard times together?
Stop shaming us.
I love it. Your goals, your relationship goals.
It's hard to. I mean, it's a broad thing. It's what are the what are the struggles? But if it's just broadly speaking, I would say nothing's permanent. If you're really having such a hard time and you don't have kids, I mean, we're assuming they don't have kids, right? So It's pretty simple. It's just you and your partner.
Are you saying end it?
No. I'm not saying end it. I'm just saying that maybe you should look at what's going on. Is this what you want? Do you want a lifetime of having problems? Because it's not like things are going to get better after the first 3 years. And if they do, I'm impressed with the amount of work you've done, which comes to my answer, which is if you want to maintain the relationship, then you got to put a lot of work in to make sure that you don't get annoyed at the little things that are happening. Find the things. What's the thing that causes trouble? Is it that he leaves his underwear all over the place, or that, whatever? I can't think of another example. That's it. It's always underwear. That's the thing that gets people pissed off. But, think find the triggers. You're I don't like that. I feel the heat in my body rising up when I see that. Just stop it. Just be recognize that this is hurting the relationship, and I'm not going to let that happen again. So when you feel the trigger, just be no, it's not worth it.
Yeah, take some self-awareness.
Yeah. I always think of it as a queen, the queen bee. It's the bees all have to protect the queen. That's it. Nothing else matters. They don't have any personal issues. If they want to go for a walk one day, it's all about the queen. So if the relationship is the queen bee, you have to, and if you want to protect that queen, you're assuming that they want to stay in this, because I could say that.
Yeah, and you're assuming it's worth
up.
protecting, because sometimes it's not.
Yeah, sometimes it's not. That's the thing. I'm trying to answer this question in a way that's not so cynical. I'd say if there's that much trouble in the first couple of years, just end it. There's no, Yeah,
it's an unpopular opinion, but I guess we've seen enough people really try to fix things and patch things and make things work that honestly you're kind of there's plenty of fish in the sea.
Just get a new boat.
But yeah, continue.
But the thing is that you have to, if you really want to make it work, protect the queen at all costs. What is the thing that protects the queen? Just do it. If the love is that good, and if you have to sit with yourself and do some, meditation, just focus, is this the right thing for me? Do I love this person? Do I want to spend the rest of my life? And if the answer is yes, then you have to stop being triggered by the little things that really in the end don't matter, and they're just your own idiosyncrasies.
Yeah, I want to build on that. I agree with yeah, I mean, obviously the unpopular opinion is maybe if it's that difficult, you need to analyze why it's that difficult and maybe take yourself out of it and maybe extricate yourself depending on what's best for you. But I agree with what you're saying. I think that a huge problem that I see in relationships and like a pattern, it's kind of a pattern, it's even kind of a social pattern, but the idea that things can be so offensive to you. I find that people are too easily offended, and especially in relationships, it's like the idea of someone leaving their underwear on the ground. Like, does Andy do little annoying things around the apartment? Absolutely. And do I? Absolutely. It's just, do you let it rise to the level where it's a problem? It's like, it's not a personal offense most of the time, you know what I mean?
Right.
And so generally just taking a step back and being like, I don't need to be so bothered by this.
Yeah.
And, you know, there's a difference between like not listening to yourself and your inner compass and all the things, not standing up for yourself. That's not what I'm talking about. It's just generally leaping to.
And just to touch on a point that you made is that if keep going. Yeah, we do this. This is what we do. But if it is something that is hurting you, like if that person is hurting you, whether they're doing it, you know, intentionally or unintentionally, like if they're cheating on you, if they go out every other week and cheat on you, that's not something that you're like, oh, I just have to get over that, you know. Like, just don't get annoyed by it. No, you have to say, is this a thing that's just like, that's the way they are? That's what I married. And they do these little things. They're annoying, but they're not malicious in any way.
Yeah.
So I want to make clear that there's two different things here.
I have to build on that. Okay. And this is going to bring us full circle, which is to say, it's best to find someone who doesn't annoy you.
Yes.
Back to what your advice was.
You find the least annoying person you've ever dated and marry them.
That is the key to marriage.
How long did she rent this place for?
I know.
Okay, did you get way more answer to that question than you were expecting?
I love it. No, I actually respect the fact that you were like, if you're having that much trouble in the first couple of years, you should probably end it, because I feel like no one ever says that. Like, people are always like, you got to work at it. You got to work at it. Marriage is hard work. You got to work at it.
No, you don't.
Andy's the king of saying things that no one will say, but a lot of people are thinking. Yeah,
I love that.
I agree with that.
Okay, I literally could talk to you guys forever. But I have one final question. Maybe you guys could do it quickly.
It's unlikely.
But is there anything that you want to be vulnerable about?
Wait,
vulnerable or vulnerable, Chelsea?
Vulnerable.
Yeah. There's a big difference. No, I don't know. I mean, I feel like with our podcast, is this about our love or our podcast?
It's your choice, dealer's choice.
No, I guess I should probably talk about our love. Otherwise,
what do people normally be vulnerable about?
Literally anything. People surprise me sometimes. I don't know. Whatever's on their like heart, you know, like Serena was talking about how she had been going through her first heartbreak, and Andrew talked about how he just gave his friend away for marriage and that really hurt him. And then like, it doesn't have to be hurtful. Serena and I talked about how like we were struggling with embracing our curly hair.
Oh.
Yeah.
I think I'm going to touch on something you mentioned during the break. Am I allowed to do that?
Yes.
Is that too like behind the curtain?
No.
But you were talking about how one of the reasons you started this podcast was to sort of speak your mind, have a place, to create a space to speak your mind. And I totally relate to that on so many levels, especially when, like you said, like with your modeling, you're just expected to be looked at. And certainly with my singing, I've been expected to be looked at, you know, and heard, that kind of thing. And I think there are a lot of assumptions about people who go on The Bachelor in the first place. And so, I don't know, that really stuck with me. And I think our podcast is also a reflection of that. It's like people, what I will say is like really validating about having a podcast is that when people really like your podcast, it's like you found your people in such a deep way. Like because, I mean, this is just word vomit. Sometimes we'll record for an hour and a half and I'll be like, I don't even remember what we said, you know? And then there can be one word in there that offends a bunch of people. Maybe you worded something wrong. Maybe you weren't careful enough. But at the same time, how cool is it that you can send out into the world anywhere from 45 minutes to an hour and a half a week of just you talking, and people not only feel like they know you, but they're like, that resonates with them. And you end up building this community of people that you never would have met in a million years. Like, yeah, you can say going on The Bachelor, I never would have met any of these people, surely. But this is like taking it to the next level. Yeah. And yeah, I think it's awesome you're doing this. And I relate very deeply to your motivation.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think it's more personal too, because I feel like the people that listen to this are getting to know me more on a personal level, and just like hearing your voice like in somebody's headphones, like that is very personal.
It is.
Yeah.
So when people message me about the podcast, like that means so much to me. Not that it doesn't when people like compliment me or whatever else, but it's just like I had my doctor on and did an egg freezing episode, and somebody literally froze their eggs because they listened to my episode. Like that's just like so meaningful to me. I'm just like, wow, people actually listen to this and it means something. So
Yeah.
It's so touching. Like I feel like there's so many heartwarming moments, and it feels like almost self-indulgent because I do read a lot of comments, and of course there's always like the nasty comments. But she gets upset.
I can't. I have a hard time reading comments because I have a hard time. I have a tendency to focus on the one negative and 100.
It's like 99% positive, but I'm just saying, like I read these and I'm so touched because not only do I feel seen, but sometimes I'm like, am I insane? Like, or am I a normal person? And then I see like all these people are like, oh, we see exactly the same way as you do, and it's so touching, and it's so it makes me feel really connected with the universe in this like sort of sappy way.
Yeah.
But it also is like when one person, like it could be like a whole week could go by with just like, just, oh, great, funny, whatever. And then one person's like, I had a really, really hard night, up all night with like, I was like nursing and like I'm going through postpartum or something. And like at 4 a.m, I was listening to you guys and it just like got me through the night. And that's enough for like a month for me. Like I'm good, that one person. And those kind of things, just that is so rewarding. And I never saw that, I saw a podcast. I was just like, oh, a podcast. Yeah, I'm going to become a billionaire instantly. That's all I thought was just money. No, but I didn't know that was going to happen. And another thing, if I continue to be vulnerable, I find that, working with your wife or your husband is not easy in any business. And I really feel proud that we have sort of done this very difficult thing together, and it really is a testament to what I believed was a strong marriage to begin with, but it really has made me believe more in us, how successfully we've navigated the trials and tribulations of and running any business, particularly one that this is this vulnerable a business.
Yes.
And I'm just really proud of us, and I'm really happy that we've made it through this.
Oh my gosh. Amazing way to end this wonderful podcast. Thank you for being my first double guest.
Yay.
Tell everyone where they can find you and find the podcast.
Oh, okay. So we're at Dear Shandy, and we're on YouTube. You're also on YouTube, right?
Yes.
All your episodes are video. Very smart.
Thank you.
Yeah, so on YouTube and also anywhere you listen to podcasts and social at Dear Shandy. I'm at Sharleen Joynt, spelled weird, SharleenJoynt, and Andy's at Machine Levine. Is there a number at the end of that? It's just Machine Levine.
I'm the first Machine Levine.
Okay, sorry.
And you can find me in this episode on YouTube at Vulnerable Pod and then at Chelsea Vaughn on Insta. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you.
for
This was
having
great.
us. This was
See
really
you guys
fun.
next episode. Bye.